Hey VC, Midge here, a guy in a hat who likes to talk about records and eating chocolate. And I'm recording this on Easter Monday, the day in the religious calendar where all the eggs that you paid £8 for are now half price. So we never learn, do we? We do it the same every year. But yeah, I hope you're enjoying your Easter. I hope you're all enjoying your chocolate. And I thought it was time to catch up on some new releases. Now, I don't know about you, but January and February for me have been a bit lean. So I thought I'd put them together because there's not been a lot out that I fancy getting, to be honest. I mean, not for lack of trying, and I've looked at loads of reviews and some YouTube videos, and just not been a lot around that tempted me, to be honest. So yeah, this is January and February's new release reviews. I've got 4 albums for you, so not that much really, but I thought I'd show them and give you a bit of a rundown on them. So the first one is the new album by De La Soul, Cabin in the Sky. And before you start going, oh, well, actually, Midge, I think you'll find this was released in 2025. Well, yeah, it was, but the physical releases didn't come out till 2026, so I'm counting this as a 2026 release. So there. So I don't know why they do that. I mean, it's not as if De La Soul are really appealing to the kids, are they? So I can understand the digital release if it's just aiming for a teenage market and that. But for us who have followed De La Soul since we were teenagers, like myself, I mean, I remember buying 3 Feet High and Rising on tape when it came out. So, I've followed De La Soul ever since. So, yeah, why don't they just do the physicals and the digitals together? But, yeah, anyway. 9th album from De La Soul, Cabin in the Sky. This is the first album they've released since the death of Dave. Plug 2, was it Plug 2 he was? I think he was Plug 2. Trugoy the Dove, and he passed away in 2023. And this is, like I say, the first album they've released since then. So it's a bit of a tribute to Dave's life, but it's not an album that's sort of like soaked in grief or anything like that. There are a couple of tracks that, that he does feature on. There's about 3 or 4 tracks that, De La Soul were recording an album at the time of his death, so they've used some of his vocals. So Posthumous carries the bulk of the album. He does an amazing job, to be honest. And there's loads of guest stars and things like that, but there are 4 or 5 tracks where Dave's vocals do appear. And the sort of like the concept behind the album is that when your loved ones pass away, they each get a cabin in the sky. So that's quite sweet. And there's a song that directly references that. And like I say, yeah, it's a tribute to Dave, but it's not, it's not all about grief. A lot of the tracks, do feature about how they're getting through it and how somebody in your life, who's been with you a long time passes away. But it's not downbeat at all. Like De La Soul are never downbeat. They're always upbeat. They're always positive. So his death is sort of framed in a really positive way. Obviously, they say about how much they miss him and that. But I think there's a line from Dave's sister who says, if De La Soul stops, Dave stops. So I think the family were very keen for De La Soul to carry on. Now, whether or not they'll carry on past this album, I don't know, but I think that was the impetus to get this album made as a sort of like a tribute and to keep his name alive. But yeah, as usual with De La Soul, it's a great album. It really is. I think it's one of their strongest for a while. There's lots of great production on it. Super Dave West, the usual collaborator, produces a lot of tracks. You've got DJ Premier doing a lot of tracks and Pete Rock. So you've got some big names on here. You've also got loads of guest stars on here, as you would expect. You've got Q-Tip, you've got Common and Slick Rick, you've got Black Thought, you've got Nas and Killer Mike. Yeah, it's just some great guest stars. But they don't overshadow the album particularly. There's great old school samples, there's great soul samples. And De La Soul have always been really good at choosing samples for the records. And there's a genius use of The Police's Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic on Run It Back that features Nas. That's really clever use of the sample. And also there's a great soul sample in Different World, which obviously references Dave again. And just loads of skits, loads of like the fun that they usually have. There's a great sort of cover of Bananarama's Cruel Summer as well, where they sort of use the part of the vocal and the words to to feature on a track, and that's really cool as well. Like I say, De La Soul have always been good at choosing samples for the records. And yeah, it's your typical De La Soul. It's always upbeat. There's lots of songs about relationships and the world, and their take on things. And it's never downbeat. It's more of a celebration than anything. And it is a really great album. Like I said, there's lots of guest stars on it, and the theme of Cabin in the Sky runs all the way through all the way through the record, like the concepts on their records usually do. But yeah, it's just a great album. I highly recommend it. It's a really great album from De La Soul, and it's always sad when like a group. Like I said, I got into De La Soul when I was a teenager when 3 Feet came out, and I've been following them ever since. So it's really sad, that a group or an artist that sort of followed you, or you followed them throughout your life. It makes you think about your own mortality. But yeah. Sorry, a bit downbeat there, but yeah, De La Soul, Cabin in the Sky, really recommend it on Mass Appeal, and it comes with credit insert with some great pics of the group and the Prime, and it comes on this double album, and it comes on this really cool bright yellow vinyl. So yeah, that's De La Soul, Cabin in the Sky, highly recommended. Okay, next up is another album that focuses on death and grief. Woohoo! And it's sort of similar to the De La Soul album in terms of it's not a particularly downbeat album. It's more, again, it's like a celebration, and it explores the themes of death and grief and how hard it is to lose somebody who's close to you. And it's the 9th album by the cartoon band The Gorillaz. And I'll be honest with you, the Gorillaz is a band I really enjoyed in the early days, and I really liked the first 3 albums. And then I think it got to me a bit more about the guest stars rather than the songs. So I sort of skipped a few Gorillaz albums, to be honest, and I got back into them with Cracker Island, which I really enjoyed, and this is the follow-up to Cracker Island. And again, it's obviously Jamie Hewlett and Damon Albarn are the people behind the Gorillaz cartoon band. And again, it's sort of like a celebration of death and grief. Both Damon and Jamie lost their fathers during the making of this album. And I think they had a sort of like a pilgrimage to India while the album was taking shape, and obviously that comes out in the music. It's very heavily sort of Eastern influenced. There's a lot of spirituality to it. There's a lot of sort of Eastern religion themes in it, which I'm guessing why it's called The Mountain, because I think the mountain represents, I'm not sure if I'm right or not, but the sort of like ascendance to heaven. You climb the mountain to reach heaven, so I think that's why it's called The Mountain. But again, it's a great sort of collaboration of artists, and this time Damon's sort of used vocals for all that he could get permission for artists who featured on past Gorillaz albums who have now passed away, so they contribute. So again, Dave from De La Soul is on this album, vocals from Dennis Hopper, Marquis Smith, Bobby Womack, etc. And if you look on the gatefold, everybody who contributed to the album is featured, living and dead. And yes, superb artwork. I think, to be honest with you, this is one of my favourite Jamie Hewlett Gorilla album artworks. It's just absolutely superb. But yeah, so music-wise, Ravi Shankar's daughter, Anushka Shankar, is all over this. So like sitar textures and flavours and sort of Eastern Indian musicians and instruments all over the album, and it's really cool. It's got loads of cool guest stars on. I'm just looking here. It's got Bobby Womack, Dave, Black Thought, Sparks. In fact, the track with Sparks, The Happy Dictator, is superb. It's one of the highlights of the album. You've got Idols, you've got Tony Allen, Johnny Marr, Marquis Smith. The Marquis Smith track Delirium is another highlight. Paul Simonon, it's loaded with guest stars, but it does actually work. And it flows really well, to be honest with you. And like I say, it's not particularly downbeat at all. The only sort of, there are a few moments where it's quite heartbreaking. The track, The Sweet Prince, is absolutely heartbreaking. It's about Damon's father's final moments, and it's such a beautiful song. It's really touching. But on the whole, again, it's sort of like a celebration of people's lives who have been with you and how hard it is to say goodbye. But one of the central messages of the album is living is the ending of the beginning. So it's sort of like saying that, this isn't the end of life. This is just the beginning of the next part. So there's like a really big spiritual part to the album as well, which is nice. It's a nice exploration of it. Whether you believe it or not is another thing. But yeah, it's a great album. It's I would even go as far as to say it's one of the best ones. I think it's like a really late career highlight for them. There's so much detail in the production. There's so much detail in the in the instruments and the music and the production. There's so much gone into it, and I've been listening to this a lot. And it's one of those albums where you hear something new every time you listen to it, and it's superb. It's really good, and. Orange County was a single with the whistling refrain in it, and that's a great single as well. But like I say, the Sparks track, The Happy Dictator, The Shadowy Light with Gruff Rhys from the Super Furry Animals, that's a good track as well. And I think the only criticism I've got of it is it's just slightly too long. I think it could do with a few tracks trimming off it. It's over an hour long, so if you dropped a couple of tracks, it'd be a more manageable listen. But apart from that, it really is a superb album. Like I say, I think it's a late career highlight for the band. But yeah. Like I say, Jamie Hewlett's artwork is superb throughout. I think it's one of the best Gorillaz albums for that. And it comes with an insert with the production credits. And this version came with an additional print, which was pretty cool. And I do like that. Sid James there, approved by Sid Harter, so that was cool. And again, I really like the way that they've used sort of like, real life photography, and Jamie Hewlett's put the characters in the back, in the foreground of the action, so that the actual photographs from India, but he's put all the band, in them, so it's a mixture of cartoon and real life. I think that's really cool. So yeah. And it comes on this lovely sort of yellow vinyl as well. So yeah, really enjoyed that. Listen to that a lot at the moment, and highly recommend it. Like I say, I think it's a late highlight in their discography. So yeah, Gorillaz and The Mountain. Yeah, I've been joined by Caramac, which isn't particularly helpful. He wants to review a record as well, but it's not going to happen. This, so yeah. Can you move? Yeah, never mind. Yeah, all right. Yeah, you can be on the video, but yeah, can you? Could you sort of? Yeah. I've got 2 more records to do. Yeah, I have. Yeah, I'll be with you in a minute. Hang on. Yeah. Yeah. You're not going to move, are you? No, you're not. He's not going to move. He's not. No. You're actually sitting on my records. Yeah? That I'm trying to show. You're not bothered, are you? He's not bothered. Sorry about that. Caramac thinks he can do these reviews better than I can, and he probably could, to be fair. But yeah, anyway. Third new release I want to talk to you about is one that absolutely piqued my interest when I first saw it announced. I don't know anything about the artist before I bought this album, but his name's Shane Parrish, and he's sort of like an acoustic guitarist, American acoustic guitarist, does a lot of improvisation, one of those guitarists that tries to find new and exciting ways to sort of play his guitar, things that you might not have heard before, certain tunings and, things like that. And he announced an album called Take a Guitar, and as soon as I saw the title, I thought, it can't be, can it? It can't be, but it is. So this is Shane Parrish's new album, Autechre Guitar, and basically, if you've got any awareness of the group Autechre, you'll know that they make sort of very sort of challenging, you can't really call it dance, but IDM, sort of electronica, very challenging, very off-kilter, and this guy is going to reinterpret their works using only an acoustic guitar. And straight away that had my interest peaked. I thought, how on earth is he going to do that? Now, I must put a caveat in there by saying that obviously Shane has picked some of Autechre songs from their early period. So the first sort of 3 or 4 run of albums they did back in the early 90s, where they were more still like an ambient type electronic act, so there was melody there. But I don't want to take anything away from what he's trying to do here, because it's still absolutely mind-blowing what he does. So you'll know that the first 3 or 4 Autechre albums had a lot of melody. They were sort of like down-tempo type albums, ambient. And halfway through their career, Autechre just disowned melody completely. And they just left it to sort of like very harsh and abstract electronic rhythms and sort of sounds. So obviously he's not gone to the extreme, but like I say, don't take anything away from him. What he's done here is absolutely amazing. So Shane Parrish's wife is a big Autechre fan. So she's been playing the tracks to him for years and years. And she said, you ought to do an album of covers. And for some reason, he just, all of a sudden one day just thought, yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to attempt to do it. So what you have here is numerous Autechre songs from the first couple of albums they did. And he's reinterpreted them on acoustic guitar. So you might think, well, that's quite easy because you just pick the melody lines, which he does, but he doesn't shy away from doing, obviously he hasn't done any of the percussive elements, but he has, he has tried to do the difficult bits as well. And to be honest with you, it's absolutely astonishing. It's all acoustic. It's just one man and a guitar interpreting some of the most sort of intricate electronic music you can imagine. And it's astonishing how he's done it. So he's picked, I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 10 tracks, 10 Autechre tracks, and you can hear them. You know, when this came out, I went to my local record shop and they were actually playing it, and the guy said, "Yeah, you can hear, what Autechre songs he's covering. It's not like it's a cheat. You can hear which ones he's doing." And funnily enough, when they were playing it in the shop, I think they sold about 4 copies while I was in there just by playing it. And you might ask, can I enjoy this album without knowing Autechre tracks? And you can. There's plenty of melody in there, and there's plenty of sort of like improvisation and sort of like noodly bits to keep you entertained. So, you don't have to know Autechre to enjoy this album. But it does help. It's even more clever when you know where the source material's coming from. So, yeah, I've been blown away by this. It's as good as it says. The only downside to this album is it's only available as an import in the UK, so it is quite pricey. I managed to get this as a cheap copy because the sleeve's a bit damaged, so it is pricey, but it's well worth the trip. It's a 2 LP set. Yeah, the labels, but yeah, it's an astonishing concept, and it just works. It blows my mind how good it is. It's just why anybody would think of that. Though I think Shane Parrish has interpreted an Aphex Twin song before as well, but yeah, it's astonishing. You just wouldn't think that he could pull something like this off, but he has. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play you an Autechre track that's on this album. I'm going to play you Shane's version of it as well, so you can compare and see how well a job is done. But yeah, I'll play that for you in a minute. But yeah, Shane Parrish's Autechre Guitar. If you can get a copy of this or stream it or anything, if you're a fan of Autechre, or even if you're not a fan of Autechre, check it out because it's absolutely superb. It's a bit of a mind blower, and yeah, interesting concept and right up my alley. So yeah, Shane Parrish and Autechre Guitar. So the next album is by the American singer-songwriter William Tyler, and it's called For the First Time Again. And Mac, this isn't working, is it? Yeah, get over. What are you doing? What are you doing, you silly boy? Okay, the last of the new releases for February and March is a singer-songwriter from Los Angeles, and this is his debut album. I heard one of his videos on YouTube, and I was sort of like very intrigued by him because he had like a lot of charisma. And he initially reminded me of Meatloaf for some reason. It's not just physically, it's just the way he can throw his voice around. So it's really sort of rocky one minute and really tender and sort of cool the next. And it's the debut album by Tyler Ballgame, For the First Time Again. And like I say, Tyler's from Los Angeles. He was doing the open mic circuit, and I think he was spotted on one of the gigs he did and given a record contract. It's got a very 60s, 70s singer-songwriter feel to it. He writes his own songs. It's produced by Jonathan Rada of Foxygen, if you've heard of them. It's like a psychedelic band. But yeah, it's got loads of shades of 60s and 70s on it. That's Tyler there. And basically, he's got such an incredible voice. And like I say, he throws it around like you wouldn't believe. Like some tracks, he's doing like a really high falsetto. Next minute, he's sort of like doing a really deep sort of baritone type, rocky type thing. He's got an amazing voice, and he just throws it around. Every track is different. Yeah, astonishing voice. And he's a good singer-songwriter as well. So this is the sort of album that it really grows on you. It's like I say, it's got lots of sort of 60s and 70s songwriter type influences on it. Some of the tracks are quite upbeat, some of them are sort of ballads, and it's some people say he sounds a bit like Roy Orbison as well, but I don't really get that. But I'm not a big Roy Orbison fan, but honestly, his voice is incredible. And it's got sort of like beautiful melodies and things like that. All the songs are really catchy. They're all full of hooks. I Believe in Love, Sing How I Feel, The Rocky, The Matter of Taste. Got a New Car has got an absolutely gorgeous vocal melody to it. There's sort of like quite a psychedelic track called Ooh on it, which is sort of like nothing but like a beat and a bass line, and it's sort of the vocals are pitched up and pitched down, and that's quite a psyche type of track. That's really cool as well. Down So Bad, Waiting So Long. It's just a great sort of singer-songwriter album. I'm really enjoying this at the moment. It's one of those that grows on you as well. And yeah, it's not like it's not an amazing album. You get the impression that this is sort of like, you know, he's got better things to come. So it's a solid album. I wouldn't say it was amazing, but it does really grow on you, and I would recommend a listen to it. Definitely, it's really grown on me. And if you like that sort of thing, then you know this is the album for you. It's got perhaps elements of Jeff Buckley in it as well, the way he sings at times. But yeah, there's a great talent here, and you just get the impression that he's only going to get better. I mean, he's self-penned all the songs on the album as well. So yeah, if you like that sort of thing, then I'd check out Tyler Ballgame. Great first album, and like I say, you can only imagine there's better things to come. So yeah, for the first time again, that's on Rough Trade. It's got this nice die cut sleeve with lyrics, and it comes on a sort of marbled orange type vinyl. But yeah, really surprised by this. It's been a real grower. So yeah, Tyler Ballgame for the first time again. And that's my February and March releases of 2026. So yeah, I'll see you on the next video. I hope you check out some of these albums. Honestly, they're all cool. They're all worth your time. And yeah, happy Easter. Don't eat too much chocolate. And I'll see you on the next video. Midge out.